Hey, good evening. Thanks for joining us. We're here at Tri-City Performance, one of our partners for over 15 years. We're all committed to safety for everyone so we can get out and ride more and get home safely every day. I just want to present a quick update on the storm and the conditions you can expect getting out. This is a little bit more of an emphasis for motorized users because with the low snow, there has been limited access. And hopefully with this storm, this is really going to open things up. So let's just get right to it. And if we look at what we've got for the storm, this is a map from the National Weather Service showing what we're going to get. You can see we're up here in the western Uintas, a little bit of orange there. That's about 12 to 18 inches of snow throughout much of the Wasatch, and then up into Logan, similar amounts. So we're pretty excited. We hope the storm materializes. The good news is it looks like there may be more coming this week. Now, what's that going to fall on? Well, there have been a lot of strong winds lately. We've got these kind of snow surfaces, wind scoured, wind deposited, crust. In sheltered slopes, you can find some soft snow and some recrystallized powder. That's what the new snow is going to be falling on. More importantly is what's down deep in the snowpack, and this is it right here. We've got this old, weak, sugary, faceted snow. The snowpack is just riddled with this rotten stuff, and that's going to be the problem. It's going to cause avalanches to break deeper in the snowpack. They're going to be bigger and wider, and unfortunately, they could be deadly. As you know, we haven't had a whole lot of snow. Here's a graph of the snowfall from the Trial Lake Snowtail site up in the Uinta Mountains, and really all we're looking at here is we've only just had a handful of storms. The snowpack has been thin. We've had plenty of cold temperatures. That's caused the snowpack to weaken. Even the upper layers of snow have weakened quite a bit. And this is the end result. Of course, when things sit around for too long, they kind of get old and cranky. But let's just get right into what this means. And we can look at the avalanche activity we've seen, and that can give us some indication of what we're going to expect after the storm if we get out riding. Here's a slide I triggered out in the Uintas on December 29th. We were about 100 yards away from this slope, just riding up, and we triggered it by just riding near it. So that's a really bad sign when you trigger avalanches just by going near steep slopes without even getting on them. Here's another one on December 31st, a skier triggered from about 100 yards away. And then what we started seeing here on January 1st were some avalanches up along the Park City ridgeline. And what was interesting about these is a lot of them were triggered very low on the slope. Here's another one that a snowboarder triggered when he was down near that red X. So another heads up, these avalanches aren't breaking right at the top of the slope. They're breaking when people are down near the bottom. And then by January 8th, unfortunately, we had an avalanche fatality. It killed a skier who was caught in this slide here. Unfortunately, he didn't have an avalanche transceiver on, so they weren't able to find him until search and rescue teams came out, but it was too late. That same day, though, up in Logan, there was a really close call with a couple of guys riding snow bikes. Again, they weren't high on the slope. They were on the slope, but down near the bottom. And the guy in the picture there in the orange on the right side, he ended up being fully buried. He was super lucky. He had an avalanche transceiver. The guy right next to him in the black suit, he did have an avalanche transceiver and was able to find his buddy and dig him out just barely in time. His face had already turned blue. Now, here's the thing. The other guy on the left there and kind of the blue on his coat, he had no gear at all. He's really the lucky one because if he had been buried, he'd have been dead. So luckily, the guy had the beacon, was buried. Another guy in the group had one. But of course, if everyone in the group had rescue gear, they could have gotten him out a lot faster and it wouldn't have been as close of a call. So that's what we're dealing with. Obviously, you can have all this gear. It's kind of like wearing your seatbelt and having your airbag in your car. But if you're going down I-80 or I-15 going 80 miles an hour and you're in a car wreck, the safety gear might save your life. But really, you want to avoid getting caught in the first place. So now what? What can we do for this weekend? Well, getting the gear that's just the minimum. That's the first step. And places like Tri-City here, they've got a wall full of avalanche gear that you can get before you head out. Of course, you got to know how to use it. And then the other thing is that it's going to be tricky. There's a lot of different snow surfaces and things going on in the snowpack. The snowpack itself is varied. The storm is going to be varied. We're going to get more snow in some places and less snow in others. The common denominator, though, is that we've had avalanches. We're getting snow. The existing snowpack is very weak, so we can expect more avalanches. So after we get the gear, the next thing we can do is just try and ride on slopes less than 30 degrees in steepness. How do you know how steep they are? Well, you can use an inclinometer and measure slope angles just like this. You line up the top edge with the slope in front of you, and then in this case, you can see that slope is right at 30 degrees. So just go on ones a little less steep than that, and you're good. You don't have to worry about avalanches. If they get any steeper, you could definitely get an avalanche. Now, here's the key thing, though. It's not just being on a slope that's 30 degrees or less, but you don't want to have steeper ones above you. And as we've seen in some of this avalanche activity, you can trigger slopes. If you have steeper ones above you, they can come crashing down. And I've been to a lot of accidents, some of them fatal, where especially snowmobilers thought they were playing it safe by riding on low angle terrain. Unfortunately, they were underneath a steep slope and an avalanche comes crashing down. So that's my real concern moving into this weekend. You might think you're playing it safe, but if you're underneath that steep slope, you could definitely trigger an avalanche. If you can't get one of those inclinometers, a lot of folks have smartphones, and there are a lot of great apps you can get, and they look like this. Here's one.
36, 1, 6, 19, 28, 36, 35.
It's a little hard to see 37,
here. 35, 50.
But with this, you can line up the top edge of your phone with the slope in front of you and estimate the slope angle. You can also use, at the Utah Avalanche Center, we have an app, and it's got a camera feature. There are other ones, like one called Theodolite, and you can just aim it at something, and then up there in the top, it's a little hard to see, it'll tell you the slope angle. So you can stand at the top of a slope, take your phone, you can aim it down, and the app will tell you how steep the slope is in front of you. So looking ahead, we need the rescue gear. Just ride low angle slopes, don't get underneath steep slopes, and you should be good. Also, I'm worried about there are other parts of the state where we don't do forecasting. We're expecting some snow down in southern Utah. I'm pretty sure the snowpack is pretty weak there, so this would apply to folks down there. And it's not just snowmobilers or skiers getting out to extreme terrain. Anybody, snowshoers, people riding bikes, walking dogs, anything. If you're in the mountains, you want to be heads up. There's a good chance we'll be issuing an avalanche warning tomorrow morning. So make sure you check the forecast at utahavalanchecenter.org. And then lastly, I just want to finish up. I'm sitting here near Jared, who's the manager of the parts department here, and he's got just a quick note for anyone who is looking for rescue gear and they happen to come by Tri-City Performance.
Hi, I'm Jared with Tri-City Performance. We just want to extend an offer. If you mention this ad and come in and see us, we can save you 20% on any of the snow gear you need for the rescue stuff, probes, shovels, avalanche bags, all that good stuff to keep you safe this weekend.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks, Jared. Everyone, have a great weekend. Enjoy the snow and get out. Please be safe. Check the forecast, utahavalanchecenter.org, and we'll check in with you later.